Is this 1984 Audi Sport Quattro the rarest Audi we've ever seen on Bring a Trailer? And will it bring more money than any Audi has ever brought on Bring a Trailer? Or will it just fail to sell? Let's find out. Bid Nerds is your daily YouTube car game show, where we predict the online auction results of the most interesting cars on Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids, Haggerty Marketplace, and more. It's just like the Price is Right game show. Play along and see if you can beat the nerds.
I selected this car because I actually don't think we've covered one of these. What I'm talking about is a 1984 Audi Sport Quattro. This is not the UR Quattro that's like a 200 horsepower turbo. This is the homologation special, and it is a premium listing on Bring a Trailer, brought to us out of Chanhassen, Minnesota. It's got a ZZZ VIN, JP, showing just 26,000 miles. One of just 214 examples built to homologate the model for FIA Group B competition. This is a car that was going head-to-head with the intention of the 959 and the Lancia 0037 and all that stuff. This is a really, really cool car. Not your dad's Audi for sure. Turbocharged 2.1 liter aluminum block inline 5. And this car has an engine that was modified by Lehman Motor Technic. Klug Motorsports 5-speed manual transactional locking center and rear diff. It's in tornado red with gray leather interior, 15 by 9-inch Renault wheels all the way around, AP Racing slotted and ventilated disc brakes. I mean, this thing is, JP, it's uber badass, and it sounds like it's got some pretty incredible upgrades to begin with. Stock, this car makes 300 horsepower. If it's got a rebuilt motor, sky's the limit, because if you turn up the boost on one of these, this car could theoretically be making easily 450 horsepower to the tires, and that's like no joke. But I mean, JP, just look at the cartoonish boxed flares on this thing. Again, 15 by 9-inch wheels. Have you even ever heard of a 15 by 9-inch wheel on a road car, except for like the fronts for like a Porsche RSR back in the 70s? This thing is the business, JP. Very decent photos as far as, selling the fantasy of being your own Walter Roll for a day. Really, really cool car. As rare as it is, I didn't realize it was one of just 214. I actually thought they would have had to make, I think, 400 or 500 of these in order to homologate it. So the fact that they only made 214 makes it that much rarer, thus that more unattainable and more desirable to all the fanboys like myself out in the herd. It looks like in one of the photos, it comes with a set of hollow spoke 15-inch Speedline wheels, which are really beautiful 5-star. It looks like there's a full roll cage. I don't know if that's a bolt-in or a weld-in, but it comes with a cage. So if you wanted to take this thing out and go essentially, vintage rally racing with it, it looks like it's got all the goods to do it. But JP, a super rare car to begin with. I don't know that they actually, I take that back. I believe somebody imported a handful of these, and I mean like 8 or something, and got them federalized for the United States, but they did not come in through Audi North America. They came in through a dealer that wanted one for himself, so he found a loophole or created a loophole and brought 8 of them in. Anyway, really super cool car. I imagine it's here on the 25-year show and display. I didn't read that any further, but anyway, uber neat car, JP. I could talk about it for hours, but let's move on. What do you think, John? I know you're not a fan of owning an Audi, but man, when you look at this, do you not want to just go rip it for a weekend on one of our trips to LA or Baja or something? Like, how
you always say that. I don't like modern Audis, even though I've owned an R8 and a couple others. But this era of Audi is fantastic. I'm not in love with this kind of fake air duct thing in the back. I thought that scoop would have actually gone somewhere. That's so brand new Ford Mustang type thing. But this car is just absolutely gorgeous and just screams everything about the best era of Sports cars, let's face it, this is a dream right here. This is a cartoon. This is something that is just totally unattainable. We see amazing exotics all the time, especially in a place like Las Vegas where we live, SVJs and, Lambos and Ferraris and stuff like that. And, none of them, who cares? If you see something like this driving down the road, this is one of the few cars. Maybe I'm jaded. Maybe we look at too many cars. Maybe we go to too many car shows. But this is actually a car that if I think I saw one in real life, I would actually stop what I'm doing. I would turn my car around. I would go over and spend some time just looking at it. It's just looking at it is just joy. I can only imagine what it's like to actually drive one of these. Wade, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that take. At the end of the day, there are lots of Lamborghinis and Ferraris around town, around the country, but you're never going to see this car in person. I mean, this is as close as we may ever get to seeing it. And, the nice part is it seems like this is a car that has been well-loved, well-maintained, and well-used in some capacity. As it sits, it looks like it's ready to roll, ready to rally. So many of these cars sit in collections never to see, the road, let alone a speck of dirt. But this car looks like it's been, driven well as it should. But at the same time, I'm shocked to see how much attention this has brought on Bring a Trailer and the number it's currently at. I would have never thought how valuable this car is, but it seems like a lot of people are recognizing just how few there are and how nice of an example this one is. So I appreciate it from a distance. It's never something I'll see or drive, unfortunately, which is a shame because I'm sure it's a lot of fun. But this might be one of the ultimate Audis if you're that guy.
Yeah, used but not all used up. Michael D., what is this car going to bring?
All right, JP, couple of quick facts. Wade is correct. The car's had 30,000 views on BAT, which is twice the average car I think that BAT normally gets. This car has a fascinating provenance. So I'm going to start by saying, with a disclaimer, this car, in my opinion, should have gone to a live auction in Monterey. It should be with, my company, with Broad Arrow Group. I think they would get all the money for this thing because it's got such amazing provenance. The seller's father was a president of the Audi Club. He went to the factory at Ignoldstack. They sent him the car, and he had Andial in California have this car satisfy the North American Traffic Safety Administration and EPA regulations. So this car was technically homologated for the road. It could be one of those 8 I was talking about, but this was the car that started it. So it's a really special car, and then it's got this special aluminum racing block. This is a really significant car. John, it is worth noting our car is at $301,000 on 11 bids, and it still has 2 days to go before it closes. Initially, I thought this might be a $400,000 example. But JP, I actually think this is a $500,000 car. I don't know that it will get there on BAT, but I'm going to go with the high bid of $450,000 with the caveat or the asterisk that I think this is a $500,000 example because of the provenance and the components that are in there, and the fact that you could put a California plate on this car and drive it around without any restrictions at all. This is a very special example of an incredibly rare car that created an entire brand image for Audi. This is the business. And if it got to 500 or even 6, it wouldn't surprise me because this car is peerless amongst a rare breed. So JP, $450,000 is my bid to you. Where you at?
I'm going to go ahead and go above you significantly. I mean, I'll go ahead and go $500,000 here. And I agree with you that it's worth that or maybe a lot more. The nerd herd is definitely speaking. But I'm with you also, Deeb, in the sense that this car doesn't belong here. Unlike that Ferrari Roma that we just talked about that failed to sell on Cars and Bids for $230,000. That seller's sitting there freaking out when that car didn't meet his reserve. I don't know what the reserve is for this car, but unlike the Ferrari, if this car does not meet a reserve, if this guy does have a 600 plus reserve and this listing doesn't get there, I don't think the car is burned. I think he just takes it to Monterey Car Week this summer and hangs out and gets the number he's looking for it. Because this car is special, whereas the Roma just isn't. Wade, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this is going to pull a pretty big number, but I think you guys are right. there's probably a little bit more still to go on at a Sotheby's or at a Car Week auction or somewhere else.
Yes.
With that being said, though, Bring a Trailer, they sell big, unique cars quite often. So, and if you've been looking for this, or if you know this exists, you probably know it's for sale. So it might get 90% of the eyeballs it deserves. So maybe that last 10% is another 50 or 100K that the seller wants. I'm going to say it hits 484,000, and it probably fails to sell. And then I think it goes to Monterey or somewhere else, and it hits 550 or 575, which is probably what it deserves.
Yeah. Yeah. This car could wind up in Scottsdale next year, JP. Like, he might not bring it to Monterey because it's too soon after an FTS here, but next January, this car could be in the desert. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, how it wouldn't be tough to be stuck with this car. How gorgeous is that? All right, guys, what do you think? Is the seller of this car freaking out right now, worried that the sky is falling, or do you think they're probably sitting there going, I don't care. This is one of the best cars ever to hit an auction site, and it's going to bring all that money, and if it doesn't, I'll just take it to another auction. Let us know what you guys think in the comments below. Hey, guys, I got to tell you about our friends Gaudin Porsche of Las Vegas and Gaudin Classic. If you're looking for a new Porsche or a classic, you got to call our friend Steve at Gaudin. This guy.
1989 linen gray metallic G50 cab.
Is that going to be for sale?
It is going to be for sale. The car only has 65,000 miles.
Save yourself the hassle of screwing around with all the auctions like we always talk about, and just talk to Steve. He'll find you the classic Porsche you're looking for. Gaudin Porsche of Las Vegas. Hey guys, you're probably looking at your watch and wondering if Bid Nerds will ever end. So you better talk to our friends at Our Smiths to make sure your Rolex, Tag Heuer, AP, or any fine timepiece is in tip-top shape. Our Smiths, fine Swiss repair.
Several days later.
JP, we have covered a few Audi coupes, a couple of UR Quattros, but I think this single-family owned 1984 Audi Sport Quattro, a premium listing on Bring a Trailer, is the first of its kind in the 4 years that we've been doing Bid Nerds. This is just, I mean, come on, JP. This is a dream car if ever there was one. Allegedly, one of just 214 examples built to homologate the model for FIA Group B competition. This is the cartoonishly gorgeous Group B rally car that they had to put a few examples on the road. Now, technically, this car was never sold new in North America. However, the guy who ran the Audi Club of North America, which eventually was renamed the Quattro Club, he went to Ingolstadt and got this car and then brought it to the United States and had California satisfy this car with the North American Traffic and Safety Administration and EPA regulations. And then I believe a handful of cars followed this one through that same guy. In other words, he got his in, and so then a bunch of his wealthy Audi friends wanted some. And so I think the number that I've heard is that 8 of these were actually technically legally brought in and are on domestic titles, but this is the original one. Our car, JP, is in Chanhassen, Minnesota, showing 26,000 miles. It bears a ZZZ VIN, as some of our favorite overseas gray market Porsches often do. But this car is on a legitimate domestic title, and is something that you could basically register in California if you wanted, which is just unbelievably hard to imagine. So, John, I started the bidding at $450,000, stating that I think this car is worth somewhere between $500,000 and $600,000, but should be in a live auction like the one we're going to have in Monterey this year. I think this car would fail to sell at that number. John, you took the over at $500,000, but you also agreed with me that it is on the wrong platform because the car this special should be in a live auction like the Motorlux event that we're going to have at the Jet Center in Monterey with Broad Arrow Group. Wade Bennett from Tech Daily was in studio, and he split the difference between us. JP, he came in at just $484,000. Ray, we're going to throw you in the deep end and gently put you on the spot. A beautiful, almost one-of-a-kind Audi Sport Quattro. What makes this one so special is it didn't come in under the 25-year exemption. This car has been here all along. You could register it in any of the lower 48s, and it's got fairly low miles. Absolute dream car. What do you think this car would have hammered with? And to endorse your bid, do you think it would have sold at that number?
Oh gosh. Okay, so that's how you're going to put me on the spot. And
Exactly. Yeah. And
oh
it's
my
a guess.
gosh, darn right, it's a guess.
Don't
Okay.
worry, it's not like
I'm,
you either win the car or don't win the car. If it's just
No,
there's no prizes
on the
here.
line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, but I don't want to be wrong. That's whoever wants to be wrong.
Yeah.
Gosh, I mean, that is a special car. There's no doubt about it. Very special car. I remember seeing one of those when I was at Watkins Glen in 1986. I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody brought one there, and yeah, just parked in along with the team owner stuff and everything. And what a unique, special car that is for sure. Gosh, 450. So I guess what if you're gonna. So you said 450, and then you took the over at 500 kind of thing. So I don't know. Maybe I should split that right in the middle.
Give us a number.
No, I mean, let's say 475. How's that?
475 is
all right. Not a bad bid. And we're all in the hunt. And do you think it would have sold at that number? I mean, looking at it, do you think it's an under $500,000 car, or do you think it is worth more than that?
You know, there's special cars. I don't think that they're. I mean, it's not like it's like a BMW M1 or anything like that. I mean, in my book, you know, when I think of the car, so to get to $500,000, I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot of money. And there's a lot of cars that you can get for that kind of money.
There you go. Very good point. Very good point. All right, I'll take that. Good answer, Ray. All right, so we're all in the hunt. Our car hammered at $446,000, where it failed to sell on 40 bids. Me being the low man in the room means I would have won. However, Randy B of the Spud Syndicate in Idaho keeps track of these bids. And let's see, we've got a lot of overages at 520, 525. But nobody is closer than me. So JP, I think I actually won that one. So nice. There you go. Buddha guessed $420,000. Of course, Buddha did 420. All right, so there you go. JP, we were all sort of right in that we thought that this car would bring more money on a different platform. Even though BAT occasionally surprises us with real retail numbers for supercars, this car isn't a supercar. This is a collector item of the highest order based on the production numbers and its significance in not only rally history, but Audi as a company. I mean, you could make the argument that this car's success, not commercially, but competition-wise, is what saved Audi as a company, an asset belonging to Volkswagen. You know, this is a major, major milestone. And as such, we think this car, I think we all agree that this car should have gone to a live auction where it would find its retail number. John, do you think it's burnt from going to Monterey this year too soon, or could it? What do you think?
Well, I mean, the big question is whether or not this is a result of a correction in the market, and this is the true value of this car now. 4.5 is pretty much it. I mean, when we were talking about why this car is so, I mean, why is this particular car worth so much when Ray mentions like he says, there's a bunch of other cars you can get for that kind of money. You got some real choices at nearly $500,000. But this car is legend, man. If there ever was a word to describe a car, I can't think of one that's better than legend for this car. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of cars that you can say are iconic or beautiful or art or all that kind of stuff, but this car just kind of created a genre. It's almost like Quentin Tarantino coming in and creating a whole new type of movie that didn't exist before. This car came onto the scene when there were already exotic cars already existed. There were already rally cars. There were already off-road cars. There was every type of car you can imagine already existed. And then this thing came on and it was a whole new class of car. So yeah, I can see this car doing better in a live auction where people with a lot of money are together, hanging out, drinking, having a good time and going, you know what, Jerry, the only way you can be a legend is if you own that car. What do you think of that, Ray?
Yeah, you know, this again, this car, when you think of the technology that rally racing, as you said, wasn't the same afterwards because all-wheel drive in rally racing really was a game changer. But if you go back 10 years before the launch of that and what happened at Porsche, you know, getting all the family members out of the management of the company is what sent Ferdinand Piëch off to Volkswagen and Audi, and you know, his mastermind behind that all-wheel drive system Of course, Porsche was in a much different place in the early 1980s, and once the decision was made to continue the 911, that's when you see the all-wheel drive turbo cabriolet study come along, and then from there, we get the 959, and eventually by the late 80s, we finally have a four-wheel drive 911. So yeah, it's an interesting family story for sure.
Indeed.
All
Good
right.
point.
Well, what do you guys think of the results of this legendary 1984 Audi Quattro? Is $446,000 all the money that this car has a chance to bring? Is there a correction in the market, and does that number reflect that? Or do you think the platform just isn't the right place to sell something this legendary, and the seller should have or should in the future take the car to an auction in Monterey Car Week or someplace else? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Hey guys, thanks for watching this clip of the Bid Nerds podcast. Play along with us live every Sunday and Wednesday night at 6:30 p.m. on YouTube, and see if your bids stack up to the rest of the nerd herd in the chat live. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you on the next episode.